crazy, hasn't it?
Yes,
Like
yes,
more than ever. I mean,
yes,
let's see
yes.
here. Let me make sure that it's everything's okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm getting back into the swing of things. We had a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know if you heard all the stories,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
I've watched some of it. Yes.
when
Wow.
anyway, it was huge. I was just talking to a friend of mine about it across the street at Whole Foods, and she didn't know. But as I told her, everything that occurred, I knew exactly, what was going on, and it was painless. It was from a higher perspective, like the grid work, the watching, witnessing, deconstruction of certain things in the matrix. I mean, there was just so much multi-stream, multi-dimensional information, purposes, meanings. But I think this is going on for everybody.
Yes.
That's my
I,
take on
for sure. And the forerunners are really feeling it and are really getting it.
it. Right. Right.
Uh, you know,
Yeah.
early on,
Okay. Here we go.
or as it happens.
Well, I've never gotten really caught up in first waivers and all that, but over the last 2 or 3 months, I've definitely gone. There's a group of us here doing work that have done this many times, and and that doesn't mean we're better or anything. It just means this is what we do. This is what we
Yeah.
do, which is what a big part of what got me through or helped me to understand what I had to go through in that 7 days. It was because from the higher perspective, it was I totally got it. The human had a couple of 3 minute breakdowns, but it was to me it was so obvious. It's become so obvious that everything we've downloaded all these years, everything that we've shared, and because we're human, we always have from time to time these doubts, right? Like, oh, I wonder if I'm just crazy or. But now I know we're not. We have made so much progress, and your writings of the last. I've only noticed it over the last week to 10 days. Morgan shared like three of them. I didn't know that was you, and I'm like, holy shit! Like I read it one morning. It was I think about it. It would have been like two posts back. I had gotten all this stuff that night. I woke up and I read your thing, which was exactly what I was getting. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
this is. And then I told her, I said, who is that? She goes, that's Eirini. I'm like, what? No wonder. No wonder. No wonder. Yeah. So, do you feel like your intel has increased in clarity or something's changed? Because you've always been very powerful, but I'm talking about like in the last. Because this has been a very powerful period too, as you know, because you write about it.
I guess it's not me. It's the energy and the information being released through all of us. And what I if I need to describe it, I would say more pieces are falling into place.
Yeah.
So in certain areas of our consciousness or of our connectivity, we have a more clear view
Yeah.
because of those pieces falling in place. And there are more pieces, I believe there are more pieces coming to fall into place. So many things are just making sense, more sense. And as you say, whereas in the previous years, there was the human doubt, there was the mind there doubting. Now, I personally feel more sure about certain things. Again, everything changes, but so fast. But though time has accelerated, information has accelerated, there is more calmness and more stability.
Yeah.
And more clear view. This is how I feel. And yes, after, what happened now, early September, I think we were preparing for the whole of August. I was getting many signs and information and preparations during July and August.
Yeah.
Yes, and everything somehow started falling into place.
Yeah. Slightly. Because I got the call to come to Sedona in July, which made no sense at all. But as soon as I got here, or as soon as I left for here, things started happening, and it culminated that day that I got picked up. Because Judith Kuzel had sent me a message when I got to the mountain, and I started to work through some messages, and she sent me a message, and it said, "Brother, you're about to go deep. You're being prepared." And I just started crying, and I knew, because everyone was talking about that time period too, that like the last week of August,
Yes.
and then going into like the first 2-3 days of September.
Yes.
So yeah, and it's like for me, and even looking at other people, I know my situation might have been seemed like it was extreme, but it was very clear to me what we were doing collectively. Like
Yeah.
I know what the group I was associated with on the mountain, what we were doing. I know the inner earth beings that were there, the galactics, the nature beings, and whatever, all the different beings, and and I know it wasn't the only place on the earth. There was some major um, liberation of long hidden, uh, what would you say, long hidden universal energies that had been suppressed. Really, mother's energy, I think, would be the best way to describe it. But yeah. So I know you work with people over there, and has that increased? Have you had an increasing, a greater frequency of working with others over there, and what's it been like?
Yeah, I don't really work with many Greek people. I mostly work with people from other countries. Yes, it has increased. Yes, people are more open and willing to really get to know who they are, heal, and especially what I hear lately from people coming into sessions, they say, I want to make it. I don't want to lose the timing. Like, I really need to do it now. So I keep on hearing this message from people.
Wow.
So one way or another, their higher self gives them the message. And somehow now the energy, it's more ready. They feel more ready to do it, and they go fully in to deep work. So the transformation is fast.
Mm.
So whereas like in the, I don't know, previous years, or maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were going through, trauma, shadow, inner work generally, quite slowly. It seems forever. But now the information comes there, raw, clear, for whoever is ready to take it.
Yeah, it seems like you could feel. We have 111 mutual friends, by the way. I just saw.
Wow, 111.
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk over the years about masculine, feminine, and there's been a lot of talk in the last 2 or 3 months. You just wrote something 9 hours ago, and this is something I think that you also had written about a few days ago or a couple of posts back, some of it. Um, so you're talking about the twin flames are the free energy itself. Organic union provides the whole universe with a free living energy of true love, etc. interesting. I believe that Tesla was basically decoding the twin flames' true nature and force. This year, on the 3rd of September, we had the 936 code. So this would have been at the end of that period when I was incarcerated and when so many people were talking about that last week.
Many people, we went through crisis, like in the end of August, the beginning of September. Many of us, on our own way, we went through great crisis.
Right.
I believe this happened because we became something like transmuters, right? This is a word, transmuters of something that basically needed purification throughout the whole plane.
Right.
We kind of became the transmuters of the energy that was leaving, that was, the poison. Like for me, before I go into my own crisis, I got the message the same day from Creator that the poison is dead. So on the same day, while trying to remove the inside of an avocado, a knife went through my hand to the other side, and it was like crazy. Ooh. It was blood everywhere. I was all alone in the middle of nowhere. Wow. I could not drive, so it was crazy. And I'm still processing the whole thing. The wound is closed, but still the hand is not totally well. So I felt it at that moment that definitely was maybe a part of myself that was transmuting the poison I had taken on, but it was very clear to me it was a collective thing too.
Right.
And by speaking with other people, again, this happened through the whole August, but it was more focused these days. Many people went through shocking and severe crises that in all of the cases, the body was involved, meaning like you were taken in, your body was taken in custody, right?
Right.
I hurt my body. I've heard other people getting really sick, other people or their animals getting hurt, or it was about the transmutation through the physical body, through the physical presence.
Right. Yeah. That feels right. And
so yeah, about the twin flames.
Right.
Yeah, where to begin? There's so much information coming.
Now, when you refer to and you write about twin flames, and maybe you can go into this a little bit. I just want to read a little bit of what you said here because it's very intriguing to me. But also in your explanation, if you kind of just let us know when you're talking in this regard, are you talking as a metaphor? Are you talking internally, each one of us? Are you also talking about external partnerships? So you said here,
all of it.
That's what I figured. This year on the 3rd of September, which was at the end of that period, we had the 936 code. A few days later, quote, she died at 96. Oh, I see. You're talking about the queen. I got you. 96 was the code that was representing the reversed fallen code of separation and loss for the twin flames. Looking in the opposite directions and not being able to even look at each other, remember, or create their organic life-giving circuit. Through 96, their flame was deactivated. There was no circuit. Now, the true code of balance for the twin flames is the code 69. On the 3rd of September 2022, the power of the Holy Trinity, code 3, actually brought the reversal of the reverse fallen code through the number 3, and the twin flames were finally liberated to reunite and restore the code to natural law. Now, there's quite a few people that, there's been a lot of friction, whatever you want to call it, between couples over the last 2-3 months, and it's been a pretty wild ride. I mean, I know a lot of people, some that have been together a long time, they're no longer together. Now maybe they come back together, maybe they don't, but there's a lot of that going on, and it's been a pretty interesting ride. But I don't know. We experienced something in the last week. I know Morgan's written about it. I've seen other people refer to it in a different way. You as well. It seemed like there was a real merging. Maybe it's the 6-9 you're talking about of the masculine and feminine energy. Like it just went boom, right? Now I'm not saying the humans understand it all, but I experienced it. We experienced it. I've heard others talking about it. Your writing kind of talks about it. What's your thoughts on where that
Yes,
stands?
I had physical signs of the 96-69 before I even understand what the energy or the universe was trying to tell me. And it all, again, I say, it started falling into place one by one as things were happening. And then the confirmations were coming. So the 96, the numbers look away, the feminine and the masculine look away, they cannot connect, they're back to back, they cannot create their circuit, okay? There was a reversal of the reverse. So for that, I was preparing the whole August because I spent the whole August on the islands of the Cyclades and at the portal of Delos. And I was working with the portal there, and I was in the sea every day. And I caught myself diving in the water and flipping in the water, front flips, back flips. And I was doing that all the time. And then I said, what am I doing? And then again, everything came like I'm helping my physical body and my whole energy reverse the reversal. So anyway, this was the preparation. And when the physical signs started coming in of the 96 becoming 69, then I started getting it, what my higher self was trying to tell me, and how the 69 as a representation, as a symbol, okay, it's actually the feminine and the masculine creating the circuit. When they create the circuit, they create the torus field, so which is actually their child. They create worlds through the torus field. And the torus field is basically a free giving source of energy.
Right.
And this is how our bodies function. Our heart beats, our bodies, are alive. This is how Earth is alive. And I was shown how we have many torus fields.
Right.
Like, let's say the left side of our body, it's the feminine, and the right side of our body is the masculine. And the next level is the opposite. So it's feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine. And the same goes on the other side. So masculine, feminine. And all of these are torus fields that represent the layers of our aura or our different bodies. Okay, this is known knowledge. It's not something new. But I was shown how these opposite energies create the different torus fields, the different life-offering fields or circuits that hold our bodies together. And again, this is very latest information I got, that there were blockages in our other bodies too. in the physical body and our other bodies too, that were blocking the circuits in our other bodies too. So when we manage to fully recover the circuits in all of the bodies, then this is when we ascend, meaning we are exiting the virtual reality game.
Right.
This is when we become full-on conscious creators, because all our circuits in all of the dimensions function.
Yeah.
And it is the same thing as it is connected to the divine Kundalini. So the divine Kundalini, though it is it's an ancient knowledge, right? And there are groups and people who have been working with the divine Kundalini, but it was very rarely that the divine Kundalini would activate in someone's body. This is now actually returning to Earth, and it will be available for all of us. But we need time. At this moment, we're going through an inner reset that has to do a lot with the recalibration of our feminine and masculine, because they were totally out of balance. They were lost. And it is very important to go through this recalibration. And this recalibration is what allows the twin flame, the two opposite energies, to reignite their flame, their circuit again. So they will be able to offer free life giving force again in this world. So if you ask me what this means, I'm not sure exactly how we will experience this. It's going to be a journey. Yes, but this is the information basically.
Yeah, and it's I think one thing to note is it's happening in a very physically dense realm. In this whole thing with the Taurus field, and again, I can't recall everything that I've read or who wrote it, but two nights ago, on the equinox, I reached out to Morgan. I've been traveling, things have been going on. We haven't connected as often as we do. But that doesn't mean anything, because when we do connect, it's very powerful. I mean, everybody's feeling this. So I just said to her, I think we should go into a session at the exact time of the equinox. And so what happened was, we did it at the equinox was 23 minutes after the hour. We started at 15 minutes after, and it took a few minutes to get going. I won't go into all the details. Maybe her and I will talk about it at some point. But what I saw happening, and she started talking about it, but before she started talking about it, I saw and felt my Taurus field. And I saw it. It was blue, like this. It was like a powder sky blue with a lot of other blues in it. And then I saw hers, which was a pink with all these shades of pink in it, right? And red and such. And I watched the mat, because it was personal, but we both understood it was collective when we discussed it later. It was very collective, no doubt. But what I watched happen was I watched the blue Taurus field move over to the pink one, and then it started shaking like it was trying to connect. And it started doing that, and then bam, it hit. And as soon as it hit, it was like the oneness, like I could feel everything she was feeling. I knew it was a new level that I don't think either one of us had experienced to that degree. But I know that was the equinox, and a lot of people talked about the 24th of September, which would have been yesterday, kind of being the concluding point of this. But as far as like, and I love what you said. I don't really know what that looks like. I think we could all use a little bit of I don't know, because trying to figure everything out and think that we are great if we know something, I don't think serves us, especially now. But my question to you is, like, what it looks like there's a total reset in everything, relationships, individually, where you live, what you do with your time, what you allow in your field. Is it just getting used to it now? Do you feel like it's just getting used to it, that's what we're going to be up against?
It is beyond our personality now, because we did it. Basically, all our work, the light workers, the forerunners, we've done the work. So now it's like we switched on the automatic pilot in a way.
Right.
So everything now gets corrected or realigned according to the natural law. It is beyond our personality, beyond our desires, beyond what we think. So what you're describing, it is happening naturally through the divine law. Even the recalibration between the female and the male, in all levels, all dimensions, it's happening according to natural law. So we're leaving basically the law of the living dead, and we're entering the law of the living ones. So it is a very different kind of, state, very different. In this new state, we surrender to the divine wisdom, and at the same time we become sovereign. Right. We become co-creators. So I've also reposted today a post I wrote back on the 31st of August, which was about a very general view about couples on Earth from now on. And not only couples, this was just about couples, but this has to do with everything we are and everything we do and all of our relationships. Basically, the fallen code is being removed out of our systems, and the natural law is being activated. So everything that it wasn't of our true being will go away. People, situations, I don't know, jobs, careers, anything, okay? Even characteristics that maybe we had adopted through the fallen program will leave. And suddenly we will start get connected to our true charisma, our true identity, our true being. And this cannot happen. Again, when I held the group session for the equinox, it was very clear from our guides and our higher selves that this cannot happen within a day. This cannot happen within a week. We have been preparing for years for that, and we need time to actually go through all the recalibrations that are needed. It's an insane, it's an insane amount of recalibration that we are to go through, and we need to take it slowly. We need to really be loving and respectful towards our bodies. It is not something that can happen just like that, because I see many people are writing very often now that it will happen like that. It cannot happen like that, because if it's going to happen like that, we would be destroyed. Yeah. We're talking about very big forces here. So even to suddenly lose my adopted beliefs or characteristics and just like that be my true being, it would be very unstable for me or for anybody else. So this is happening gradually. And what is very interesting for me, it is like the past 2 weeks, I have been having inner flashes that are not flashes of my fantasy or my imagination in my brain. They're flashes in my whole body. It's like sensation of who I really am. And more of the sensation, like how does it feel, my true being, how does it feel in my body? And it is, I have to say, it is such an unexpected feeling and sensation, like nothing I had ever seen or imagined. Very different. And this has happened only the last 2 weeks. So I guess
Does it does it feel like Kundalini energy or orgasmic energy, sacred sexual type of energy?
no, for now, this is just in the heart for me. I think this is where I feel it more.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying, you're absolutely correct. I believe it will become this eventually.
Right.
We will become orgasmic beings or cosmic entities. I've been writing these days a list of the word orgasm, and like orgasm, organ, organism, organ, organization. They all have the same roots. And in my light language, the or, yeah, it's orgon. It's or and yeah. It is the golden earth. It is the golden Gaia. It is the flow of the mother. Wherever we see R, it's the mother, the flow of the mother. And yes, I've been pondering about these words that connect again. It's about energy again. It's about, organ, orgasm. The twin flames are creating ergon. They're creating a flow, a new flow, free energy. And it's an energy that can divinely sustain worlds, creations, okay? It's not this kind of narrative we hear on the news about, what sustainability is or what we need to do to have sustainability on this earth. This is such a distortion. We are the energy. We are the free energy.
That's right.
We are the ones who are creating sustainable worlds.
Yeah, that's right. I've felt that way for years. We are the free energy that Tesla described. We are the 369. We're the free
Yes.
soul, free energy. Yeah, and it's it's been such an impactful summer, and then for it to actually culminate this past week with the equinox and the September 24th and whatever other dates are in there, I don't know. But to me, one of the things that feels like it's coming in is as we start to get familiar with the way things really are, this natural law, the natural nature, the organic, right? We start to recognize that we are truly energy beings, and we can step out of I'm a human only. I know I'm here to be human. I know that's a big part of it, but I'm a multi-dimensional human that's coming into its own with more memory, more abilities, and not being stuck on the transition that we're all having to face. Like you and I might do something, and because of the energy doing what it's doing with us individually, and as we two or more come together, whatever, there's going to be some fluctuations. There's going to be some turbulence. But what I'm saying is, to me, it's so obvious now not to take things personal. It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
absolutely.
I got a bit of a download last night, which was kind of explaining to me because I was looking back at the last few weeks. I'm like, wow, that was a wild ride. You know, like the human was almost unaffected, and I couldn't understand what was going on there. And basically, what I was being shown was what you were saying, which is we are now creating. And what's so important in this realm is the co-creation, right? The collaboration. That's how the
Yes.
one that's how the oneness spreads, even if it's just two people like twins or whatever. But what I was
Yes.
being shown was uh, if you create from worry or fear, no, what's going to happen is you're going to create that. And even though our
Absolutely.
powers are expanding and we can kind of neutralize things like take it back, alt control delete, that we don't have to go through that. So what I was being shown basically is what you did as it was speaking to me the last few weeks. You went through fearlessly, and it may look like all this stuff was going on, but I was being shown the energetic impact when we do that. And so I thought to myself, well, then that means that I won't be getting stuck, or we won't be getting stuck on the stories, right? We won't be getting having the personal affronts and uh, the stuff that's kind of held us down because it's not being supported.
The more we live the law of the living dead, the more we can command our reality.
Right.
We can become the ones who will say what we will experience in cooperation with the divine law. The more someone is stuck in the old law of the living dead, the more they are dependable of what is happening. It is basically our Taurus field. It is now becoming our number one protection.
Mm-hmm.
It is becoming because our Taurus field is our home. It's our electromagnetic home. Everywhere we go inside our home. Everything we do it inside our electromagnetic field. And we are just starting to understand the power, the information, the abilities that our electromagnetic field has. We're just starting now, but we have gotten signs. We've experienced, especially in the past 2-3 months, so many synchronicities, so many signs,
Mm-hmm.
so many instant manifestation, positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
And we are starting to understand what you just said, how important it is for us to do our inner work and become as whole as we can. Before, I would say, because you spoke about the cooperations with other people,
Mm-hmm.
I believe we are still on an unstable situation, and we really need to focus on our inner work. Just to, because we're going such a big transformation, we need a little bit of time to get it, to feel it right. Once we do, we will be able to create collaborations that will blossom very fast. I don't think we should, rush into collaborations, but it needs to happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
The more one has developed their inner circuit, the more ready they are to cooperate with someone else, whether they're twins or with other people. The more ready they are. So some couples, when they come, for sessions, and they believe they are twin flames or they are divine partners, okay? Usually they feel that they have to do the work between them, right? But for me, first is the work on a personal level. Mm-hmm. The more ready one is inside, then the couple comes together and the flow is there. So again, it's about one's inner circuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many couples, though, will separate from now on. Many couples will separate because many couples, even if they love each other, it's not something negative. Many couples, they've had their union through the system, through the matrix of, you know, the old code, let's say. Mm-hmm. So now that the old code is being removed, they will start feeling that this link is missing, because maybe they had journeys together, other lifetimes, experiences together. But from now on, the couples that will be forming will be through the true code, like magnets. Even if they are in other relationships, they will leave these relationships and they will come to get together. They will leave their family and they will, you know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. It's going to be like magnets.
Right.
And it's going to happen naturally. Now, for those, because from what I understand, everybody on earth has already received certain messages, okay? Everybody. Now, whether one is accepting the messages from the heart and their higher self, it's another thing. If someone is receiving the messages but discarding them, they will have some kind of a harsh event, like a tough experience, to break free from the past relationships of the past code, and they will align. Their higher self will take them to align to their natural family, to their natural partners. Mm-hmm. But those who are listening, those who have surrendered to forgive through the heart, forgive the past, understood that this was just a game.
Right.
We learned so much. We don't have to keep, you know, the old feelings, the guilt, the fear, the shame, the anger, the frustration. We don't have to keep anymore these codes in our bodies, in our minds. Our hearts know, and they show us the way of forgiveness. And this, first, above all, it's self-forgiveness. So those who have actually understood and integrated this thing, this knowledge, this understanding, they will, their journey will be more smooth in this, you know, in this getting together with their true family, their true partner. This is my understanding, at least.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And it's, and I think too what you said about the personal messages that we're getting, right?
Everybody has received them.
Yeah.
Everyone. Now, if their mind is blocking out the true messages, that's up to them.
Yeah.
They need to do some more healing work and forgiveness through the heart. And they also need to take responsibility. Responsibility for participating in the game, responsibility for every little experience that they had in this lifetime, in other lifetimes. So the syndrome of victim It's gone.
Yeah.
In this group session we had, as we were decoding the fallen code, because we were reading the code, it was said that we need to check this part of the ego that is ill, and that the ego in its healthy state is the I am presence. There's nothing wrong with the ego. But because of the falling and because of the oblivion, we developed, and because of the trauma and the experiences, we developed an ill ego. We have like part of our ego, a part of our consciousness is ill. So each one of us was asked to detect our ill ego, speak with it, hear it, understand what is happening with it. And it had syndromes, the syndrome of the savior, the syndrome of the victim, and it's, as the code was dissolving and being removed, the syndromes and all these ill egoistic aspects were falling away. They weren't there anymore.
Right.
And they were making space for our true self, our true identity and memory to come back. So when someone remembers, there is no room of not having responsibility.
We won't have a choice. We won't have a choice. In time, it won't even be like these syndromes and this programming. Really, it's just it's what you're describing is the proper perspective of the ego, the proper perspective of our experience here on Earth, who we are, what we're a part of, and what we're doing. The real story is taking over the old stories. You said something in there 2 minutes ago. This knowing. There's we used to talk about knowing. We have a knowing. You just don't know how you know it, but you know it, and that's getting really strong for me. Like it's making it real easy for me to know, to go a certain direction, do a certain thing, and not look back and question anything. I just know, and it's getting easier to, I guess, to live in the world we've all been kind of popping in and out of for the last so many years, whatever.
Yes, and it is, for me, it's getting clearer and clearer. The one main knowing is what the cooperation, love and trust between the feminine and the masculine can create. They were both separate and alone, and they were trying to have a life, be happy, be healthy, create, basically alone. Even if they were in a relationship, many parts of them were alone. They weren't in this circuit of synergy, you see? And when humanity starts getting what it means, the cooperation of the female and the masculine, everything will change. Abundance is only through this cooperation. So there was a culture of separation in the media, in the in the entertainment industry, the music, the songs, the films. They were and they are still recreating a culture of hate between men and women. Like the boys are calling the girls bitches, and the girls are calling the boys, I don't know what they call them. You know what I mean? Like they are in an antagonism, like they hate each other, like they have to prove something to each other. And this is exactly what the Fallen program has succeeded in many ways, to take focus away and deceive many people. And yeah, this is the biggest key. And there was a moment during, again, the past few weeks that I was guided by my higher self, and I found what we call the grandmother goddesses and the grandfather gods. And I got to work with them. And what impressed me was that the grandmothers were holding the flame of the grandfathers, and the grandfathers were holding the flame of the grandmothers. And the way they did it in such a great respect, I was thinking, when I witnessed this, this was the biggest gift they gave me. How there was absolutely certainty,
Right.
love, respect of what they were holding, of the opposite energy. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
They had absolutely trust to each other. And this was because they have understood what it means to embrace, honor, and accept the opposite quality in you. You need it. We need it. We cannot live a happy life without the opposite energy. So to me, we're not becoming androgynous like the media wants us to present, but more of the total understanding and acceptance of the opposite quality and how important, how essential it is for our well-being and our life, and for the good of all. Yeah. So it was so natural to them to hold each other's flames, and to do it with such an honor, just naturally. It was just, beautiful.
This is us. This is what we're remembering. This is what's real. And I guess through this conversation, and like even what you've been writing and what I've been exposed to, it's coming in now. Like it's there. It's not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger. All the other stuff's falling away. And,
I don't know if it's going to happen to all of us. Maybe some people are not ready and they will stay in the old paradigm. We don't have the right to say.
Right.
And maybe when this is more amplified and more grounded, I was thinking this past week, these people who are not ready and the ones staying in the old law of the living dead, they will be free from us because we're kind of annoying to them. You know what I mean? And they've been annoying to us. So it's good for everybody. This is just normal. So it's good to remember that. Maybe there are people who don't want to follow this, evolution and go to the next level. Maybe they're not ready yet.
If and I believe it, the soul is a free soul. We're in a free universe. We're free energy. And I love the way you describe it. We create basically by sharing, right? We create giving, sharing, and it creates this Taurus field where you're getting back equally in balance now as we move into this realm. But what I'm trying to say is that the fact that it's all free flowing, I would think, and with people getting to this point that we've just gone through, and will continue to have more and more, like you said with your clients, they want it now, they want to do it now. You would think that that's going to have a pretty immediate impact on our physical experience on the earth. If we're co-creating from this twin frequency, essentially, our torus field is putting this out, you would think it's going to have a pretty immediate impact on our physical experience, to include traveling around the world where we want to without being restricted, really doing anything, calling whoever we want, doing whatever we want. And I would think that that's going to impact us soon, I would think.
Yes, I don't know how soon, I cannot know, but for sure, if you mean also, do you mean like also teleportation?
Well, yeah, even teleportation, but certainly I think before that, the borders come down, the travel restrictions come down, because
This will
above,
eventually happen, yes.
yeah,
This will eventually happen. I just don't know. I think what I'm trying to say is that things are becoming quite magical now.
yes,
So this splitting of realities, it's not of my knowing. I don't have this kind of knowing to understand how this can happen. I feel it. I'm already experiencing it. Many of us experienced it also during the last 2 years. Yes, so we will be creating what we want, but we need a little bit of time to get it, to really get it through all of our aspects that we can do it, you see?
yes,
And again, I say this collaboration of the feminine and the masculine that the grandfathers and the grandmothers had and showed me, it's about us understanding that in this universe that we are, this is the way of life, masculine and feminine, positive, negative, hot and cold, day and night. As we bring it in collaboration, in union, we neutralize all the shadows, all the fears, all the blockages, all the limitations. The more we understand this, the more we make it we make it real in our everyday lives, the more the doors will open.
yeah, yeah,
And this is an inner state and an outer state too.
yes, that's right.
It's very important for us to get it. We need to get it. It's beyond, it's huge.
Yes, it's
It's
huge.
huge. It's
You,
everything.
you can't underestimate the power of one unique and equal soul, but you also cannot underestimate every single living moment that we have. Every decision we make to stay in integrity, every decision that we make that brings equilibrium, neutrality, that's the most powerful thing there is. I
And
mean,
the canceling of this antagonism between the male and the
yeah,
female,
yes,
this is the most important, to start canceling. We don't have anything to prove to each other, you see.
exactly.
We don't have anything to gain from separation or from antagonism. We can only win, we can only gain when we are in synergy, in cooperation,
Mm-hmm.
in mutual understanding. Like the two lobes of the brain. In another session, we had the two lobes of the brain speaking to each other. And it was mind-blowing what happened there. What was the dialogue, you see? So it all starts with inner understanding of we were the ones in inner separation, we were the ones in inner antagonism, we were the ones in inner misalignment.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the ones who are correcting this. We are the ones who are understanding this. We are the ones who are embodying this. So the information now is freely flowing in the grids everywhere. And many people are getting it, many people.
Yeah.
And of course, let us remember that they were people already on Earth many years ago, or couples that were actually in this state. And they were the ones who kept this information alive, this knowing, for everybody else too. And they kept it when the things were much, much more difficult to, to embody. Yeah. Now the energy is free and we can get it more easily. So gratitude to all the couples and all the people who were working in their inner union and their outer unions to hold and bring and continue this knowing. Yeah. And another thing that I also wanted to say is that, again, I don't remember when this took place, but it was somewhere probably the beginning of September, when I felt the reversals between the two. And I was shown how, two things. So how the feminine, she was more open spiritually. And how the masculine, he was more active and open in the physical, Once the recalibration happened and the reversal happened, she realigned. She, collectively speaking now, she might have been spiritual, like the vessel of spirit for the earth, but she was also misaligned. So she aligned again after the recalibration and the reversal. And he, though he was the one who was, active with the physical energy, bringing the ergon, he also realigned. So we are also getting realigned in all the charisma and the qualities that we were carrying that are true. We are also realigning in those, and they're meeting in the heart. You see, they're meeting in the heart. And she was asking for forgiveness for whatever she did to spiritually hurt him. And he was asking for forgiveness for whatever he did to physically hurt her. Mm-hmm. And the forgiveness and the merging and the alignment again was in the heart, is in the heart. These changes are bringing huge transformation in our awareness, in our bodies. We are literally in unknown waters now. Yep. That's why we need time.
Well, we're writing new code.
Yes.
And the code, universally speaking, natural law speaking, it's not going to be allowed. Like you said, if there's any type of disruption, you won't fit in, right? It won't go through. So it may seem like that this process we're going through is very, very human and a little bit uncomfortable at times and a little bit nerve-wracking. But again, the aware human that continues to push to grow is writing the new code. This is universal code. This has never been done. It's like you said, it's like uncharted waters, which is what creation's all about. Creation is all about, she's going to birth something through her womb, and you really don't know what it is going to be. And that's how the whole thing, it's so fascinating, because this birthing takes place, and the creator of that creation gives it full free will and recognizes it as itself, and then you have the whole polarity thing starts, right?
Yeah. We cannot know the whole picture. We take it step by step. All I'm trying to share here is that these are extreme forces that we need to respect. As we come back online, alive, we need to do it with respect.
Yes.
Not rush ahead, not get too excited, because these are very, very powerful energies. Yeah. And our bodies, there are days that our bodies are struggling with this. Yep. Because our bodies carry this cellular memory, which is in the physical body, the cellular memory is the last one that will be released. So working with the body, or resting the body, or massaging the body, or feeding the body with good food and water, or any kind of technique that has to do with the body, it's necessary now. It's our body. It's everything. Everything comes down to the physical. And also, another thing I wanted to say that I see very often in sessions. So there are many people who say, I am a starseed, I am an alien, I am a whatever, I am Pleiadian, I am from Arcturus, I am from whatever. This is an important aspect of us, but we must never forget that we are in a human body, and our continuation, our evolution is going through the human now. Mm-hmm. So whenever it's very often that someone who's a starseed has a difficulty with feeling, has a difficulty with, sensing certain things that are considered human. And I just want to say that whatever one is, it's going to go through the human, whatever they do. I'm not saying we're going to stay in the human, but it's going through the human. The process passes through the human aspect, which means denying or avoiding certain human expressions, feelings, emotions, thoughts, anything. It's not helping now. Any avoidance of the human aspect, it's not helping. It's going through the human body. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm taking it all in. Well, it's a lot more, there's a lot more to it than the words you're speaking. Like the energy behind the words carries, it just has a much wider meaning to me. It's the body, it's the emotional body, obviously the physical body, the mental body, and even those bodies that you said,
all of the bodies
that are outside of us that were not in the proper circuitry, right? I mean,
I'm just mentioning this because it's very often that there is spiritual bypassing,
right?
Because of our trauma, because of the difficulties we have, because of the detachment we learned through our family, our mother, our father. We learned, many of us, to detach, to avoid, to not feel, to not sense. And in order to survive, we had to go to that spiritual aspect of ourselves. But we cannot continue like that.
Right.
We need to come in the body, and we need to revisit certain memories, experiences, traumatic experiences, or certain beliefs, like I'm not like that, or this doesn't concern me. It's not true.
Right. Or those people
we all
are
yes
awake. Right.
Yes, this is something that I see very, very often. That's why I am mentioning it.
Well, you said in other words, you said to conduct ourselves with reverence, every moment sacred, with honor. But the other thing that I would stress for myself, first and always, is that that goes for all parties involved. That means that somebody that I'm less close to, or somebody that I may not have a lot in common with, someone that I would have looked at 2 months ago and said, wow, that's not me. But it is me. That's the point. It is me. And
Yeah.
and I just think that the days, just like you said about ignoring or denying or putting it off, that's the same thing as saying those people are those people. They're not me. In other
Hmm.
words, you know what I mean? Like that's so important to me, to be able to look at each day, to be able to look broader and broader at anyone that I see as very unlike me, that it is me, and go to work there, because because that's where the separation ends. And
Yes.
so it's become like a point where I can't, and I've said this before, but it's going to a different degree, like no sarcasm, like no negative connotations, trying not to judge, you know, calling myself out if I'm judging, if somebody makes me uncomfortable, or I don't like them or something,
Yes.
really taking it, it really is never them, it's always me. It has, you know.
It's very important what you're saying, but I need to add something, okay? Um, I accept my discernment, which
Yes.
means my discernment, it's changing as I evolve, for sure. Judging and being judgmental actually comes from trauma, comes from within the family, comes from all the social and the um, ancestral habits and traumas. But now we are also at a point where we need to have discernment. How do I say this? I mean, if I recognize that someone um, is has not processed certain parts of themselves, and they are in a separative mode more than
Right.
me,
Right.
um, I can I give the right to myself to recognize that maybe this person, I was there, and they are absolutely free to be there. Uh, but I cannot be as they are.
Right.
So this is a judgment. It's a healthy judgment. I cannot stop, having discernment and judgment about where I am or where other people are. You
You're
know
not.
what
You're
I mean?
not. Yeah. You're not judging the person's character.
No,
You're just
no,
making a judgment and a decision. Like
a
I've.
discernment.
Yeah. I've made and I know other people have done this. We've made tougher and tougher choices, but this has happened in the last week in more than one occasion, where um, the best thing I can do is not engage the energy, because what you just said, that person is in the space that they're in. I can recognize it. I'm not judging their character, but I'm not going to go in and engage it, nor am I going to enable the codependent or old frequency bands that that from my perspective they might be working their way through. The other thing that I would add, and I love what you added because it's very true, we think a judgment's a bad word. It's not. But the other thing is, if there's something that I'm seeing in a person that they can't see, I keep telling myself every day, there's something in me that I can't see. And it may not be related to
Yeah.
what I'm seeing in them, but
Yes.
along with like gratitude affirmations, how I start my day for the
Yes.
last year and a half, I'm starting to add in, show me what I can't see in myself with ease and grace. Show me
Yes.
something today, because like you said, you can't get it all in one day. It would fry us. But
Exactly.
so like trying to appeal to my team and say, show me something that I'm not seeing, that for instance is of the same magnitude of what I'm seeing in my friend that they can't see in
Yes.
themselves. Show me something, and it's working. I feel like it's
Yes.
working.
Absolutely. And the more we we understand this, the more we integrate this understanding, the more perfect we see them. We see them perfect. They are perfect. And we
Yeah,
see ourselves as perfect. They are perfect in the
yeah,
perfect time, the perfect
yeah.
place. And yes, absolutely. But even because I have triggers, uh, I
Yes.
still have many triggers. I'm not perfect at all, like totally, so many triggers. Again, I allow my triggers and I work with my triggers. This is how I get, there's no other way. We cannot suppress the trigger. The trigger is there. It means there's an unhealed part of us. So I have to go through the trigger, maybe participate sometimes in triggering. It's okay. Next moment, I will work on it. I will come back, you see.
Right, right,
Otherwise, how else?
right.
How else will happen? There are few or certain aspects that carry so much drama in there. That's
Yeah,
why we need time.
yeah,
We need time.
yeah. And we can always say to ourselves and to the other, hey, I caught myself. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of it too, because we think, that it's always some kind of channeling or whatever the way we share code, but it's really becoming the most impactful at the human level. Like, let's get real with each other, kind of thing. There's so much code in between the words, in between the lines, that comes when two or more people do that. Because that's what we've done with ourselves. We're being honest with
Also,
ourselves.
when let's say we have worked on a certain deep traumatic aspect of the self, and we re-encounter something that triggers it or awakens this, it's again a good indication of how this aspect is doing, how is the integration going, if there is anything else that needs to be done or said, neutralized.
Yeah,
I believe that all of this is very useful.
yeah. Well, yeah,
It's very useful.
yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier about. It's one thing to say I don't take things personal. It's another thing to actually feel it, and
Yeah.
because you get to a higher state of awareness. And I think that in regard to what you're talking about, um, it's we're not looking at the word trigger. We're not looking at the word shadow. We're not looking at the word with the same connotation. Now it's actually like you were talking about at the beginning of the show, taking the ego and recognizing it and bringing it in. You know, uh,
We love it now. We
right,
love our shadow.
right,
We love our hurt. We love our pain. We love it. We embrace it. And we allow it also to be expressed so that it can heal.
yeah,
We cannot control all these aspects with our minds. It's not possible. We can do neutralizing work. We can do, but there's always something that we cannot totally touch until the right moment comes. The
that's
right
right,
moment comes, the right person comes,
right,
and there it is. It's still alive. So,
yeah.
again.
You can't teach me your experience. I can't teach you mine. Experience
No.
is what actually creates the code within us. I mean, and this is the great thing is we are in uncharted waters, and I think at the same by the same token, we're not going to be looking at, oh my God, the unknown as being this big scary thing. It's actually where we create, where this the Taurus fields come together, and where the child energy is born. Yeah, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I think this automatic mechanism that has been activated now as we are being, in a way, transported or transitioning, I don't know how to describe it, in this natural law of living. It will bring it to us. Anything that we need to understand, heal, or change or align, I think it will just come as long as we are open to
I agree.
recognize, and it will just,
I
there's
agree.
no other way. It cannot happen any differently.
I agree.
And it has, yes, it has a wisdom. The way it's happening, it's wise, very wise. And I know that we went through crisis these past few weeks, but it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. I believe this was necessary collectively.
Yeah.
It was necessary collectively, but it's not going to be like that.
No.
It's going to get better and better.
You were speaking of what Solomon wrote about, Sophia, wisdom. Sophia as the God element or the goddess element. Yeah, and I'm with you. It's happening. So like just like the little download I got this morning about fear and worry, I don't have to have it. It doesn't have to be there. If it comes up, that's fine. But I don't have to sustain it. And that's what was really becoming clear today, was this morning, was you don't, as I was reflecting these past few weeks or being shown the past few weeks, you don't have to worry and you don't have to fear. And if you do, that's what you're going to get. And you're all going to get there, don't worry. But I mean, in the present moment, we can be so much more powerful, have so much more potential if we
as
can
long as we don't impose anything from the mind to our rest of our being, as long, and I mean also impose something of, spiritually, or something, oh, we need to do this, we need to achieve that. As long as we don't impose beliefs or certain ideas from the mind to the body, to the heart, it's the opposite now. It
That's
is
right.
our body that show us the way. It is our heart. It's my leg. It's my legs. It's my back. It's my bones that show me the way now. And it takes time to get this. I think we've come a long way and we know this and we're doing it. The mind follows the rest of the being. The mind is just a tool to facilitate certain things. Our programmed mind is changing so much. We are becoming, how can I say, learning to recognize the spontaneous energy, the energy that was always there some nanoseconds before we had a thought, some nanoseconds before we made a move with our hand. This is the energy that now we're becoming accustomed to, like the spontaneous energy.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And when you were talking about the new creations and, taking your time, and I know Morgan's talked about it, get your personal container right as you expand from there. But one thing I've noticed, and I stand pat on, because I've been getting really what everyone else has been getting. I've also been told since July, none of this is going to change. Obviously, you're expanding, you're anchoring some masculine energy with others or whatever, but I've been told keep creating, but create carefully. And the key to it is show up as open as you can be with your intention, your free will, individual intention, in alignment with universal will, not even knowing what that is, but knowing the feeling, and then two or more come. And like we do it here with music, you get different people, they sit down, we don't rehearse anything, and we just turn it on, and it's incredible. Morgan's groups, your groups are very much the same thing. People coming together and most of the time, nothing's even being said. It's all
Yeah,
happening in this new fertile field that we're. So I think that yeah,
you
we
just get
definitely
synchronized. You synchronize
yeah
and the flow is there, right?
yeah that's right. It's spontaneous. It's open. It's purely intended. It's a individual and collective experience. And I think the key is no matter, at least for me, no matter what I experience, the more open the participants are and the less planned it is, the more spontaneous it is, the more powerful it is. And
Yes,
and uh, and
exactly.
I feel like that is how things will become more and more like that. It'll become more and more like that, where we don't think about
Yes,
tomorrow, we don't think about the past, we don't think about how we got to structure something. It just kind of, like you said, comes to us. Like
yes.
the body is the transmitter, receiver, sender, guide. I mean, it's the way like you
It's
put
a
it.
surrendering, yes. It's a surrendering, and the filters of the mind are falling away
Yeah,
because it was on survival mode.
yeah,
The more secure we feel, the more whole we feel, more secure we feel, less and less the need to filter everything. We trust more what it comes in our lives. There is a reason that it's coming and we're experiencing it. So we leave this survival mode of the mind, of
yeah,
filtering everything and trying to impose through the mind um, on our reality what we think we need.
yes.
So
That's
it's
right.
a whole new, yeah, it's a whole new experience that carries so much joy when the synchronization can happen, when it's happening. It's literally magical.
Yeah, and what like what you said too, like what we think we need. Like there is no need. That's part of it. Like knowing that a lot of us are living nomadic lifestyles. I would like to have certain structure and stuff, but I also respect the fact that the way things have played out. And again, to me, it's the same thing as like the groups that you Morgan, and like I'm talking about with the music sessions. You
Yes,
you you're not even you're showing up with that same carrying that same band of frequencies, which is being open, aligning free will with universal will, pure intentions, and that spontaneity that really ignites it all because it allows for the magic. You can't, we're sitting here talking about at the beginning of the show the 369 and Tesla, free energy, free soul, giving that free energy, getting back equally. You none of that can be restricted, and therefore we're a copy of it. We're a little universe. We can't restrict ourselves. We can't put restrictions on each other. It's that spontaneity and openness is so important for the magic. At least that's been my
yeah,
experience these last few weeks.
absolutely. The only thing is that we were in oblivion and inside the program for too long.
Yeah,
That is why we still have some, you know, aspects of the self that need to get to learn the new way.
yeah, yeah,
But it's easy. It's easy and it's so much more joyful, like so much more fulfilling.
yeah.
And it's easier. Like we don't have to struggle. We don't have to put so much effort in something or get tired, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or struggle to survive. Again,
Yeah.
like again, during these past weeks, there was so much coming in. Like the woman, the feminine, she needs to connect straight to Father God. And the masculine, the man, he needs to connect straight to Mother Goddess.
Hmm.
Once they do, everything gets back in alignment.
It's a great point.
So,
That's a great point.
yeah,
Well, wow, Irini.
thank
That's
you, Todd.
yeah. Thank you.
and everybody who is
We'll
with
do.
us
We'll get
watching.
together before the end of the year again too. I know that last 3 months of the year are going to be huge. December's going
Yes,
to be huge. December's going to be
yes.
huge. I'm excited. Um,
But for whoever is accepting for the old program to be removed from their system, they will not have the same experiences of limitation as the people who are still operating through the old program. This is the biggest message I can share with everybody today.
yeah, yeah.
Whoever is accepting the removal of the old program will have a very different experience in the upcoming staged events.
Staged events.
Yes.
Oh, you just had to throw that in there, didn't you? Well, I mean, that's pretty. I'm glad you brought that up before we leave because, and you talked earlier about these forces, these powerful forces, and I know you're talking about all sides of polarity in that sense. Um,
Yes.
what I've noticed the last few weeks, at times, is a very distinct opposing energy, with seemingly opposing energies coming at me and presenting things, and it's weird because I can see them, and I'm having to acknowledge them, where before I would just go, you know what, you got nothing on me. And it's not that they have or don't have anything on me. It's just more of me recognizing them and saying, hey, I see you there. We don't, you know, I see you. I know you're part
Respect
of,
them.
yeah, you respect them. And, but so if things continue as people are forecasting in the, let's say, the linear world, yeah, I could see things getting very distorted. But by the same token, these conversations, these energies, these vortexes, and that we create together, where two or more gather, um, and acknowledge our expanding abilities and awareness, are far greater than anything that can be presented. You know.
Absolutely. And we have the power to neutralize this kind of events and
True.
how can I say, to change the outcome, because there's so much circulation on social media and on the media of, all these difficulties coming. And it's not necessary that we go through them. That's something everybody needs to know. If there wasn't for these opposite forces, we would have a very peaceful transition to the new state. But there are beings who fight for their own good as they perceive it,
Right.
and they have the right to do it. So
That's right.
we respect them, but we need to say to everybody, you are the most powerful observer and participant in this game. Please neutralize, cancel out those events or those narratives that are circulating in the media and the social media. Cancel them out.
Right.
You are the ones who can do it. We are the ones. We say, no, we don't need that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we don't have the full knowing of the spectrum, which means maybe there are people that need to have this experience. How do I know? I don't know. Okay.
That's right.
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe there are people who need to have this kind of experience so that they are awake. So again, it's the divine plan that is at work here. But
Yeah.
we can totally help to create the best outcome.
Right. Yeah.
At least place our intention.
Yeah. And to keep in mind too that if I don't feel like I'm a victim, it doesn't mean I'm not carrying victim consciousness. If I think other people are victims, I can be victimless in my own mentality, but I'm still carrying victim consciousness by saying, and that's not an easy road, but I mean, we've made a lot of progress there over the years. We don't look at dark and light the same as we did, any of us, a few years ago. But yeah, so I think that's really good. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll see you again. I wish you the best always. I love
Yes,
you.
brother. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you for coming on such short notice. I'll see you later. Take care. We'll be
Thank you.
back in 22 minutes with Jenny Jablowski, the horse whisperer. She's been on before. It'd be very interesting.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Bye bye.